scared are the oppressors. The only people who could have any harm coming to them are those who oppress. Simple as that.
3-pound pressure, no weight lesser. Drop the oppressor, me no surrender. 3-pound pressure, no weight lesser. Drop the oppressor, me no surrender. 3-pound pressure, no weight lesser. Drop the oppressor, me no surrender. 3-pound pressure, no weight lesser. Drop the oppressor, me no surrender. It's time for a change, gotta bounce up. The oppressor's about to get tossed up. I'ma lay him out, execution style's too late for an apologetic claim. You wrapped in a cloak of flame, by God, it's overdue. Your time is to the end. Locked out silent without sin. He put me on the planet for justice to win. The oppressor's about to get rolled down. With suppressors attached in the war zone. Revolution can start in the Arizona. I'm a messenger prophet like Farrakhan. Backed by the honorable, who sits at the pinnacle. Who judges the hypocritical, cynical, and the plentiful sinful. My thinking is critical. I'm just ventilating of the actions of the protective service. Quick to pull the Glock, blast and kill. This don't take any kind of skill. I'm ill of all citizens who haven't took a stand. Or kneels too late when the caps get filled. Don't believe in TC type. Going hits close to home. You gotta act the bone, but it got the dome when it's on the zone. All red on my vision through sight. It's killer be killed whenever I fight. From above I'll be given the right. So you better be ready to ride tonight. All the way to the dawn daylight. We gon' rid them all, so gon' pass the kite. 3-pound pressure, no weight lesser. Drop the oppressor, me no surrender. 3-pound pressure, no weight lesser. Drop the oppressor, me no surrender. 3-pound pressure, no weight lesser. Drop the oppressor, me no surrender. 3-pound pressure, no weight lesser. Drop the oppressor, me no surrender.
This world is such a, and when I say this world, I mean it. I don't mean in an ideal sense. I mean in every day, every little thing you do. It's such a, gimme, gimme, gimme. Everybody back off. You know, everybody's like, you taught that from school, everywhere. Big business. If you want to be successful, you want to be like Trump, gimme, gimme, gimme. Push, 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 push. Step, step, step. Crush, crush, crush. That's how it all is. And it's like, nobody ever stopped.
Make the beans, Papa? Yeah? What do you think, Papa? Yeah? Should make them? Yeah? Something like sit there. Gun.
What the goal of the billionaire class is to remake the world as a digital simulation, really, to digitalize, to steal life. It is an anti-life program. It's moving from carbon-based life to silicon-based life, to a digital twin of the world that they can control, that is disconnected from spirit. And
I'm envisioning a world full of love and peace. Thus my decision is to war with this beast. Through tones, melodies, poems, and beats. But when the time comes, shoot it out in the middle of the streets. In the bright glow of the dawn, I see myself clearly, bringing in a new day. The old way of doing things is done. I don't care what you say. Monsters don't sleep under your bed. They sleep inside your head. And if you haven't done the shadow work, the left behind is where you stay. I'm envisioning a world full of love and peace. Thus my decision is to walk with this beast. Through tones, melodies, poems, and beats. when the time comes, shoot it out in the middle of the street. We gotta protect plus homeschool. Our babies is a must. They not just no moms, but also no pops. These Spola worshiping pedophiles wanna feed our children's spirits to robots. Turn all of us from carbon-based to silicone-based. Should be where the shit show stops. Get back to doing for ourselves. Water system irrigation and grow crops. I'm envisioning a world full of love and peace. Thus my decision is to walk with this beast. Through tones, melodies, poems, and beats. But when the time comes, shoot it out in the middle of the streets. I'm saying I'm not some master teacher. No, am I? Some pastor or preacher was released from prison with this passion to speak up. After doing 25 years in the beast cuffs, realize they tried to teach us spiritual, mental, physical diet. They tried to feed us the fire of our ancestors resides in each of us. With that, I'm inspired to turn this heat up. I'm envisioning a world full of love and peace. Thus my decision is to war with this beast. Through tones, melodies, tones, and beats. But when the time comes, shoot it out in the middle of the streets.
We're really approaching almost like it's a Frankenstein moment. And they're framing it to us as, innovation, right? We should all be so excited that this is happening. And, I equate it to like the Golem, bringing in like these robots. They would like to feed our life force to learn us in every tiny detail, not to empower us, but to actually transform us into a robotic simulation that is under their full control.
Nah, bro. Come on. You almost there, bro. Almost there. Survive. What's up?
I do it die for Chi-Town. Who am I but Chi-Town? You young fool, I'm too fly to just slide out. Blue sky but high ground. My crown slash helmet. So my aircraft stealth spit. Can't be tied down or even sheep belted. I look down, I see green like a Celtic. My heat pulverizes, the cheese is melted. The remnants of cash money, I dispelled it. You did the fusions in my eyes, I beheld it. The finger fucked that caused my hand, I dealt it. Felt it vibrate from the gut of my pelvic. We bust all on some ice and some velvet shit. So radiant, I keep a dark room well lit. Cause you little goofies are well quick. Body for real monkey velvet. Body you not for Mars, is a female's clip. As a kid, all I did was fight. I did the bit with a knife. I know I can spit my flows to shit. To a fly zone, haters wanna crucify a real man. I still stand with the silver hand, but we're Hiller man. It's not Cypress Hill, I'm Tuttle Sheep. I'm one tough cookie, I don't follow our set standards. To catch me, you gon' have to do more to scamper. Need more to scanners, I'm off the radar. I am as your goofies play God. Some worship the Christ, others pray to Allah. Chase a high, drink paper or bruh. You stagnated, well I straight evolve. At a rate, I'm data space ace and y'all. Bust stuck in the cage, face off. After the shape, the stages of fate, a fraud. Battle start intergalactic, my mindset. Perfect comes from practice, so I rhyme best.
Hey, what's cracking? I don't want to be here long. I had set this up a good while ago. Hey, baby, Real Slaughter, how you doing? And Ganja, what's going on? Y'all can share this. You don't have to go ahead and grab nobody. It doesn't matter. Who else is in here? Somebody else is looking. So obvious. Be nice. When people come in here, I prefer you to speak. And if not, you keep strolling through. I'm not in no race for numbers that have been maximally manipulated. So I wanted to read this to you. So y'all know a couple of days ago, Ukraine fires a U.S. missile on Crimea, right? I guess it was Russia wants to retaliate over a Sevastopol missile that was utilized. But what I wanted to get in is who would have something to gain out of being dismissive or claiming and professing conspiracy theory? Well, the very people who hijacked the government, and the ignorance of those because of skin color who allowed it to exist so long. Now, at least they're smart. They talk in secret. Me, I don't care either way, okay? Because, there's going to be dumbasses who want to do dumbass things. Apartment next door. Somebody hit me up. Can't call me on this phone, but you know I have other means. I had to use the bathroom. And so I went outside, and sure enough, there's nobody in there, but why is the blinds wide open? Nobody went in there. But early this morning, last night, they were closed. See, they can't help but do stupid shit and think because they have this functioning Zionist existence, idea, whatever you want to call them, they think that they can manipulate and do what they want. That's change. They just haven't realized it yet because unlike over in Gaza and all them places, they're dying every day, getting taken out by snipers with 50 cals and everything. But the media ain't going to show you that because they want more idiots who are converts, who are not Judeans, like I said, who are Hamitic, Ashkenaz, Gujar, and everything else. You know what I'm saying? Because the agenda is the only thing they want to fulfill. You know, they've lied so long, and now most people started catching on to Tartary and everything else. And I told you that's not even the name. But regardless of that, most people started realizing religion is crud. You know, you still have the hardliners, and I'm not saying there's not stories that amount to something. Most people just won't put it together. So the stupid's going to stupid, but everybody else don't have to be pragmatic in it. You dig what I'm saying? So let me show you Al Jazeera, the Uneven Alliance, how America became pro-Israel. Right? It's going to read a little bit, not a lot of it. Israeli lobby and the U.S. managed to infiltrate all aspects of government, thus formulating U.S. policy. Now, this is about Al Jazeera. I'm going to read a few of them, not just this one, okay? Mere days after, I mean, you got to look at, you know, they just let go of, what's the name? What's the guy's name? Julius Hassan, right? But David Icke, they don't want him to go to 27 European countries. Netherlands banned him. Why? Well, where's HIN, whatever that place called, but you know, all the idiots who are part of the agenda, and Sweden and Denmark. Think about it, okay? I mean, Denmark was always Sweden was always remain neutral, but look at what's going on. Mere days after Donald Trump won the U.S. presidential election, American Zionists moved quickly to ensure that Israeli interests were fully guarded by the new administration. Remember I spoke to you about Henry Kissinger? The only reason why he got in there is because the Zionist lobby who talked to Nixon. He was not the man for the job. And how long did he stay on for? The Zionist Organization of America wasted no time. You can look them up. All right? No time hobnobbing with notorious racists, also known for their anti-Jewish agendas. See, the Zionists work with anybody to fulfill their agenda and their ignorance because they created Ku Klux Klan. ZOA's Zionist Organization, all right, of America. It ain't nothing to do with America. Annual gala on November 20 hosted none other than Steve Bannon, a leader in the so-called alt-right, otherwise known as white supremacy in the United States. That's right. 20 hosted none other than Steve Bannon. Look it up. I'm not going to read all of it. Well, under his leadership, Breitbart, seen as a major platform for the alt-right, fueled anti-Semitism, needless to say racisms of all shades, argued Alex Amin and Jonathan Morgan in Alternet. Now, watching top Israeli officials and leaders of the Jewish community in the U.S. hosting ever so enthusiastically Bannon at ZOA's, again, the Zionist Organization they claim of America, annual gala appeared perplexing to some. Others casually explained it as, the nature of politics, as Israel needs its U.S. alliance, even if it means, accommodating anti-Semites. Who the hell does that? I just want to leave. That's from Al Jazeera. All right, let's go on to Marxist Internet. The Marxist Internet archives. Okay. Ooh, I feel like I got bit by a big mosquito. Review: Do Zionists run America? Alan Ruff. The power of Israel in the United States. Remember, this is not the United States. Believe me, people have been educated in a lie. By James Petras, Atlanta, Clarity Press, 2006, 190 pages. Now, the paperback's only $16.95. It might be different now. Widely known as an expert in Latin American history and social movements and a prolific critic of United States imperialism, James Petras has ventured forth in his latest book, The Power of Israel in the United States, and several recent essays on the same theme as a modern-day exorcist eager to take on a cabal currently holding in its grasp the very course and direction of the nation. Now, according to Petras, it's the so-called Zion cons, his term, at the helm in Washington, along with the coordinated network of pro-Israel political action communities. committees comprising the Jewish lobby and a broad array of dual loyal operatives, scads of money in hand who control the media and public opinion, call the shots in Congress, curtail academic freedom, divert the labor movement, and prevent the anti-war movement and authentic progressives from setting a truly democratic domestic and foreign policy agenda. In his writings on Latin America, Petrus has incisively analyzed the material causes and corporate interests behind the United States drive for domination. When it comes to the Middle East, it's a different story. To hear Petrus tell it, the reason the United States is in Iraq and threatening Iran is that it has been thoroughly infiltrated and colonized by the agents, direct and indirect, of a new hegemon, ascendant on the global scene. Now, the state of Israel, a new superpower that has managed through well-heeled access and unprecedented political clout to subvert, they're not no superpower, it's America making them powerful, bend and shape public opinion, the political terrain, and the course and direction of the most powerful country in the world. It's funny how you can convert to Judaism, go to Israel, and get $1 million or whatever it is, and have a home and live all, you know what I'm saying? But here, they get rich with this fake fiat of what our people's work and what we spend in ignorance. If corporate power decisively determined policy, Petrus argues rather sketchily, the oil industry's interests would dictate a more balanced, if not pro-Arab tilt. What's really so, we don't need nobody's oil. There's trillions, believe me. Here, industry's interests would dictate a more balanced, if not pro-Arab tilt. In parentheses, what's really so hard about supporting Israel and the Arab oil kingdoms at the same time? What's so hard about that? Thus, Petrus would have us believe that Israel calls the shots entirely in this country on anything to do whatsoever with U.S. policy in the Middle East. The tail, according to Petrus, clearly and undisputedly wags the dog. Now, you can look in the lobby and there's all kind of information. So I told you, if you want to review Do Zionists Around America by Alan Ruff, pull it up. All right, and you're going to get that in the Marxist Internet Archive. Let's go over here. Let's get Wikipedia, because you know who controls that. Zionist occupation government conspiracy theory. Now, we already broke conspiracy theory, and the CIA created it. They did it amongst the fact they don't teach it in school. And when they started teaching it, they alluded to a new narrative. You can't have a theory without a conspiracy, and a conspiracy can't exist unless there's a theory that makes it relevant. And then you have to do the work. What do they call? Detective work, and figure it out, which there's no figuring out because the names stand they're all there. How much research you got to do? Because they're sitting there saying, no, that's like you saying you're not African American, and they got all the idiots running around who have no information or reality or truth at all, going, hey, you Canaanite, you Ham, you got the curse, which is not what people think it is because they have no clue. What does black mean? Light, bleach, bright, white, right? So if all of a sudden in history, all of a sudden these albino, they're not even these pale skins all of a sudden pop up with less melanin, with recessive genes, which chemically they're hitting every. I mean, think about it. Dementia didn't exist until 1979. Go figure. And every 3 seconds, somebody's popping up with dementia. Just make it make sense, right? Okay. So anyway, Zionist occupation government redirects here for territories occupied by Israel since 1967. So you can pull all that up and you can show all the information and definitions and everything. Okay? Zionist occupation government, Zionist occupational government, or Zionist occupied government, or ZOG. Y'all seen ZOG, right? Sometimes also referred to as the Jewish occupational government. Is an anti-Semitic, and they're not from Shem. We already went over months ago, right, about who created that statement. Just have them say anti-Semitic, and they ran with it, 1942, right? Or somewhere around that time, a little bit before that. When did the guy do it? I got to pull him up. He's all the way on the end on the tabs up top. Was that 1897? No, it was 1900s. Anyway, I forget his name. It is a contemporary variation of the centuries-old belief in an international Jewish conspiracy. According to believers, the secret Zionist organization is actively controlling international banks and through them governments in order to collude against white Christian or Islamic interests. The expression is used by white supremacists, white nationalists, far-right nativists, or anti-Semitic groups in Europe and the United States, They say this like that's going to stick, like we're going to just buy into this anti-Semitic nonsense so they can keep doing what they're doing. What is that called when you say something to divert or keep people from looking into something? What is that word? Let me finish reading. The expression is used by white supremacists, white nationalists, far-right nativists, or anti-Semitic groups in Europe and the United States, as well as by ultra-nationalists such as Pamyat in Russia and various far-right groups including the Freemen, Identity Christians, and the Ku Klux Klan. Freemen. The word Zionist in Zionist occupation government is used, which is to equate being Jewish with the ideology of Zionism. As such, Zionists are depicted by the theory as conspiring for Jews and Israel to control the world as depicted in the forged protocols of the elders of Zion. Now you can tap on this in Wikipedia and you can go and read each one for further discovery. Okay. So we say deflect, we say to have the perfect excuse to render someone null and void. Everybody looks at them like they're crazy because everybody follows this particular subject or partition, right? Isn't that what's happening? So we're gonna say something, we're gonna put it out there, and we're gonna convince you to stop looking at us. But if you know what a goyim is and you know what they believe, and they've been saying it over in Israel, what they say about everybody in the world should be begging and bowing at their feet. Who in the is going to be bowing at some Hamitic, Gujar, Yaphetic monkeys? After what they've caused to our people on this land and the lies that they think we're supposed to render on awkward, man, they have lost their mind. Hold on. Let's go ahead and pull up Brookings. How do Americans feel about Zionism, anti-Semitism, and Israel? They said, Americans, have they talked to you? This is the consensus that we deal with. They don't talk to none of us. They don't ask not one of us. Not one. They wouldn't dare. So do you see what's happening? And yet they'll put it all over with these fake media and everything else. And I've been saying fake media from when I was in the military. Y'all watching that stuff. Yeah, we got to see what's going on. You don't know what's going on, fool. You in the middle of it. How do Americans feel about Zionism, anti-Semitism, and Israel? Two related issues have entered our public debate in recent months. Now, mind you, this is 2023, okay? Especially after the rise of a far-right Israeli government that President Joe Biden called one of the most extreme he has seen. The first is the debate about whether a two-state solution is still possible. Now, we all seen y'all's big father, Joe Biden, walk across stage when he's been interviewed by certain media outlets. Do you support Zionism? Zionism? And yes. And he even said, I am a Zionist. Like, come on, people. I even still have the video I might upload it. Anyway, the first is the debate about whether a two-state solution is still possible. And if not, how to define the territories from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. The second is a debate about what constitutes anti-Semitism, especially after the Biden administration took important steps to fight increasing anti-Semitism. This is to shut you up so they can do what they do. And these debates have touched on whether or not anti-Semitism includes opposition to Zionism and Israel. Now, as far as anti-Semitism, that would be the true sons and daughters of Shem. That means that this world moves against the sons and daughters of Shems. Why? Because they have conspired to. And so these fake individuals saying anti-Semitism, this is the party you deal with in ignorance. Alicia and Cooper, what's up, beloved? Thank you for speaking. So anyway, to fight increasing anti-Semitism, these debates have touched on whether or not anti-Semitism includes opposition to Zionism and Israeli policies. In our latest University of Maryland critical issues poll with Ipsos, we sought to probe American public views on these issues. As you know, Zionism ain't got nothing to do with any of those lands in Europe over there, but in the Grand Canyon, our ancient ways. This was a baseline poll of Americans' views and awareness of these topics. We provided no introductions to the questions, attempting to find out if Americans felt they knew enough to answer these questions, and if so, what views they already held. And with this approach, we were bound to find a large number of respondents who said they didn't know or they were unfamiliar with concepts of such as Zionism. exacerbated by the possibility that some might feel uncomfortable answering questions on issues that may be sensitive in our discourse. Makes sense. The poll was conducted from June 21st, 27th to the 27th among 1,439 respondents from Ipsos Probabilistic Knowledge Panel. The margin of error is 2.9. So we're talking about under 1,500 individuals to speak for America. These people are retarded. Here are 5 clusters of findings. First, in the absence of two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and 3/4 of Americans, including 80% of Democrats and 64% of Republicans, would choose a democratic Israel that's no longer Jewish over a Jewish Israel without full citizenship and equality for non-Jews living under its authority. Okay, I'm not reading no more of that, y'all. If you want to see this, go to Brookings commentary, how do Americans, okay? This is just this is about information. This is like a class. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the American Presidency Project, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Okay? Oh, they got to put all that up there. Oh, you know who's doing that. I don't even have to say who's doing that. Zionists of America Convention. Now, this is John F. Kennedy. Let me go back. This is prophecy is a Jewish tradition, and the world Zionist movement in which all of you have played so important a role has continued tradition. Now, this is a speech by Senator John F. Kennedy, Zionists of America Convention, Statler Hilton Hotel, New York, New York. As you know, he was an Irish Jew. Speech by Senator John F. Kennedy, and this is actually the American Presidency Project. Okay, so you can go ahead and pull that up if you want to go ahead and take a screenshot real quick, and you can read that later. I'm going to read a little small excerpts because this is not, like I said, I know some real cool Jews, man. Okay, and we're not the same. We are the Judeans. Spell it with a J or U, however you want to. You spell it silent. You can spell it with an H-U-D. You know what I'm saying? August 26, 1960. Prophecy is a Jewish tradition, and the world Zionist prophecy is a Jewish tradition, and the world Zionist movement, in which all of you have played so important a role, has continued this tradition. It has turned the dreams of its leaders into acts of statesmanship. It has converted the hopes of the Jewish people into concrete facts of life. When the first Zionist conference met in 1897, all right, Palestine was a neglected wasteland. A few scattered Jewish colonies had resettled there, but they had come to die in the Holy Land, rather than to make it live again in greatness. Most of the governments of the world were indifferent. But now all is changed. Israel became a triumphant and enduring reality exactly 50 years after Theodore Herzl. Okay, 50 years after his pass. I think he was like 44 years old. The prophet of Herzl, listen to this, Theodore Herzl, the prophet of Zionism, had proclaimed the ideal of nationhood. And that was Herzl they call him the prophet of Zionism. It was the classic case of an ancient dream finding a young leader, for Herzl was then only 37 years of age. Perhaps I may be allowed the observation that the Jewish people, ever since David slew Goliath, have never considered youth as a barrier to leadership, or measured experience and maturity by mere length of days. And so he went around the world. He had to come here and destroy this, which was the ancient world, in order for them to write their foolishness in. I first saw Palestine in 1939. There, the neglect and ruin left by centuries of Ottoman misrule were slowly being transformed by miracles of labor and sacrifice. But Palestine was still a land of promise in 1939 rather than a land of fulfillment. I returned in 1951 to see the grandeur of Israel. In 3 years, this new state had opened its doors to 600,000 immigrants and refugees. Yeah, well, we got 30 million, right? They're half-breeds. Even while fighting for its own survival, Israel had given new hope to the persecuted and new dignity to the pattern of Jewish life. I left with the conviction that the United Nations may have conferred on Israel the credential of nationhood, but its own idealism and courage, its own sacrifice and generosity had earned the credentials of immortality. Make that make sense. I'm not casting that spell or giving that energy. Some do not agree. 3 weeks ago, I said in a public statement, Israel is here to stay. The next day, I was attacked by Cairo Radio, rebuking me for my faith in Israel and quoting this criticism from the Arabic newspaper Al Gomoria. As for the question of the existence and the non-existence of Israel, Mr. Kennedy says that Israel has been created in order to exist. Time will judge between us, Mr. Kennedy. Created. Existence and non-existence. Let me read this again. Don't get upset with me. I'm going to read it at verbatim. All right, we're going to go to the Bible Gateway. Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. I know thy works in tribulation. This is what you're supposed to know. And poverty, but thou art rich. Now, this is a dialogue for the actual Judeans. And I know the blasphemy of them that say they are Jews and are not. There's no such thing, but are the synagogue of Satan. I know thy tribulation and thy poverty. The son going against the father, ain't that so? I know thy tribulation and thy poverty, but thou art rich. And the blasphemy of them that say they are Jews and they are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. How about this one? I want to read this verse. Isaiah 8, chapter 8, verse 12. Do not call conspiracy everything this people calls a conspiracy. Listen, Isaiah chapter 8, verse 12. Do not call conspiracy everything these people call a conspiracy. I told you that. Do not fear what they fear and do not dread it. See, they have moved to a position, they're stuck. So their fear is not really prosperous as yours may be. What I'm saying is they're not so inflicted with it. Until the appointed time, they won't be able to, they'll spin around in circles. They won't not be able to do anything. All right? And I like the fact that they want to sit up little monkeys in their little cars and ride around like they're doing something. The idiots. Let me share that with you. Okay. Psalms chapter 83, verse 3 through 18. With cunning they conspire against your people. They plot against those you cherish. Come, they say, let us destroy them as a nation, so that Israel's name is remembered no more. That would be Judah's name. With one mind, get all these pop-ups. With one mind they plot together. They form an alliance against you. Theosophical society, one. The tents of Edom and the Ishmaelites, of Moab and the Hagarites, Byblos, Ammon and Amalek, Philistia, with the people of Tyre. That's all the people you see over there, and who's controlling the narrative? By genocide right now. Even Assyria has joined them to reinforce Lot's descendants. Do to them as you did to Midian, as you did to Sisera and Jabon. That's not even the way the name's pronounced. Anyway, you know, this is the English Pelicans. At the river Kishon, but it's actually a different name, who perished at Idnor and became like dung on the ground. That's speaking of one of those Asian countries. I'm not going to get into it, but just pay attention. And then we can do that later for those who want to debate something without no knowledge and lack thereof. Who perished at Endor and became like dung on the ground. Make their nobles like Orb and Zeb, all their princes like Zebah and Zalmunga. Do y'all know about Zebah and Zalmunga? I'm asking you. Okay, well, we're going to pull that up next, okay? Excuse me. Who said, let us take possession of the pasture lands of God? the pasture lands of God. Oh, they got all these little pale-skinned farmers all jacked up. California's growing all kind of chemicals with all the bioscientists and everything and feeding everybody when it used to be the East Coast and the Midwest. And I ain't talking about Nebraska and Ohio or Idaho. I told you the potato is not native here. Idaho potato, do you know what actually used to grow in Idaho? That's what I thought. Make them like tumbleweed, my God, like chaff before the wind. As fire consumes the forest or flame sets the mountains ablaze, so pursue them with your tempest and terrify them with your storm. Cover their faces with shame, Creator, so that they will seek your name. May they ever be ashamed and dismayed. May they perish in disgrace. Let them know that you, whose name is the Creator and the Most High, that you alone are the Most High over all the earth. Over all the earth, not just this particular patch of it. And so that is, and for them to, God, have you believing in some fictional heaven and hell, not realizing that when I told you it's a trillion times worse than this hell they gave you, and they're ignorant to it. They're going to continue to move like retarded little monkeys and robots, and there's no way around that. Okay? So, let's go back. Pop-ups, man. I thought I stopped that. Let me pull up that other one right quick and save it for a moment. Okay, and we'll get back to that. Let's go back to the reading. Okay. It's popping up slow. My apologies. Let's go to Reuters. I am a Zionist. How Joe Biden's lifelong bond with Israel shapes war policy. And that's the statement he said. This is Reuters. Just in case you want to see it for yourself, okay? That's Reuters. I'm not making nothing up. There's no misinformation here. I'm not into that. Like I said, I got some people who are Jewish I adore, and they adore me. And they're not with the gamut. If you only knew the truth, but that's another story. I am a Zionist. How Joe Biden's lifelong bond with Israel shapes war policy. Washington, on October 21st, Reuters. When Joe Biden met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his war cabinet during his visit to Israel, the United States president, he is definitely the United States president, not America's, assured them, I don't believe you have to be a Jew to be a Zionist. Am I a Zionist? The politicians and generals gathered in the ballroom of the Tel Aviv hotel nodded in approval, according to a United States official acknowledgement of the closed-door remarks, even as Israel bombarded Gaza in retaliation for a devastating attack by Palestinian Hamas militants and with a ground invasion looming. Biden, who is of Irish Catholic descent, has used similar words in the past to profess, Irish my ass, professes affinity for Israel, but the moment which has not begun, he's not a real man of Ireland or Scotland. We know of the Twa, we know the original people of those lands, which has not been previously reported, illustrates how Biden's decades as one of the leading friends of Israel in America, the Gujars in America politics, seem to be guiding him during a defining crisis of his presidency. It also underscores the challenges he faces balancing unwavering support for Israel with persuading Netanyahu, with whom he has a long history, to avoid worsening the civilian death toll and humanitarian meltdown in Gaza, as well as complicating further releases of American hostages. I guess y'all ain't paying attention to the weapons they've been sending over there, some of the new ones. Okay. He says one thing and he does another. Biden's connection to Israel is deeply ingrained in his political DNA, said Aaron David Miller, a former Middle East negotiator who served six secretaries of state in both Democratic and Republican administration. That should speak volumes. Whether he likes it or not, he's in the midst of a crisis he'll have to manage. Reuters interviewed a dozen current and former age lawmakers and analysts, some of whom said Biden's current wartime embrace of Netanyahu could afford the U.S. leverage to try and moderate Israel's response in Gaza. In their private session with aides on Wednesday, the two leaders displayed none of the tensions that have sometimes characterized their meetings, according to a second U.S. official similar with the talks. But Biden did pose hard questions. Yeah, can we speak as it is to Netanyahu about the coming offensive, including he was there to listen to what had to be told to his monkey ass. Have you thought through what comes the days after the day and the day after that? The official said, U.S., United States, and regional sources have expressed doubt that Israel, which vows to destroy Hamas, has yet crafted an endgame. And it goes on. I would prefer to y'all read that. Okay? I really would. But I know it's making sense to some of you now. So let's go to Surface at Syracuse University, to which my cousin Jazz went to and became a teacher. All right? And this is a PDF that I just whoop. And I'm going to read just a little bit. Okay? So, American Zionism, blah, 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 blah. Okay? And the evolution, American Zionism and the evolution of pro-Israel in United States politics by Samuel Teller. This is around 2012. I actually utilized this for a college paper I did not turn in. I did something else. I did Paper Sons of China. For several decades, the Jewish establishment has asked American Jews to check their liberalism at Zionism's door. For several decades, the Jewish establishment has asked American Jews to check their liberalism at Zionism's door. And now, to their horror, they are finding that many young Jews have checked their Zionism instead. By Peter Bernard. After more than 60 years of existence and significant political transformation within both the Jewish state and the region in which it sits, it was telling the people who act over here with all this, look at me liberal in Hollywood. What did I tell you all about a certain statement they make when they go in the synagogue? The Coordinator Act, right? Think about it. All right? Which it sits, the task of arriving at a conclusive definition of the label pro-Israel in the American context is an increasingly difficult one. There is no doubt, however, that the definition is indeed changing, and not just among peace activists or scholars, but in mainstream politics, political lobbying organizations, and on-campus student organizations. This thesis will examine both what this new pro-Palestine definition looks like and how it is distinct from an old definition. Most importantly, this thesis will examine the legacy of the old definition, its implications on U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East, and what types of policies may be expected as we are ushered into an era potentially dominated by this new definition. At the risk of oversimplifying the two definitions, I hope to outline the basic parameters of both in order to establish the distinction and examine the degree to which each definition is a result of political, social, and religious changes in the pro-Israel community of the United States. The old pro-Israel camp, one, focused primarily on security concerns of the Israeli state. Make that make sense. Two, often ignored, dodged, or outright rejected the notion of a sovereign Palestine state, as they did. Three, emphasized above all else the Jewish nature of the state. Now, the new pro-Israel camp tends to, mind you. Now, as far as that goes, one, focused primarily on achieving peace in Israel-Palestine. Two, accept the Palestinian state as requisite in achieving this peace, isn't it named Palestine? Three, empathize above all else the liberal and democratic nature of the Israeli state, which is fascism, which is steeped out of Marxism, which comes from the Bolshevik revolution of taking over Russia. How many of y'all know about Marxism? Karl Marx, the fact that he wasn't pushing it, his wife was, and his cousin took it and ran with it. Oh, I'm not going to sing that Russian song. Anyway, are y'all aware about it? No. So you can download this, and I'm going to show you again. You can download it, okay? Save it as a file if you choose to or whatever. I don't care, okay? Excuse me. But I'll show you what it looks like. So that way, can I pull up the whole thing? Hold on, let me go back. Let me go back. Surface, remember? Surface at Syracuse University. All right, I'm going to show you what it looks like. So that way, I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit so we can get a bigger picture. You can go ahead. We'll take it up to about 120 or 120%. All right, screenshot that. It's right there. All right, it'll come up top, but that's it right there. And you can read it for yourself, all right, 2012, all right? Samuel Tiller and Which Called Brevet. And I would advise you to read it in its entirety, okay? That's the PDF. Let's see. It goes with my notes, all right? Let's go back into Google. 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 Now let's go to the American AJC, American Jewish Committee, all right? Whatever you want to call them. Zionist Occupied Government, ZOG. Zionist Occupied Government. Just look, man, I ain't making this up when I'm telling you all these. I want y'all to see this yourself. Okay? American Jewish Committee. I am not making up. No, I'm not just throwing it out there. I'm well informed. Zionist Occupied Government, ZOG, white supremacist belief declaring the U.S. government is controlled by Jews. ZOG, Zionist Occupied Government, is a white supremacist theory that believes Jews, they don't even know why they have white supremacy and believe in that nonsense, the dummies. And not all Jews are bad. To stop it. Secretly control. I told you they are Jews. They created it. It's their identity. You have the right to identify as you. If you want to, they got. This is how they clear it up. When I was talking about what the CIA does, and I hate saying the CIA. I really do. I actually don't. But anyway, it was decent. But old timers who worked there. But if you got the kids running around calling themselves pissing and pooping in a big box like a kid and drinking out and eating out of a bowl. I mean, literally 7 days a week, 365 days. For real. Or they want to call themselves eyeglasses. Or there's sisters running around calling themselves white, and we ain't talking about Moorish. They literally, they're doing all the everything. And look, there are more light-skinned boys who are actually black and Negro than there are melanated people trying to play this fictional white character either. Also, but let's go ahead and read this. Can't make this stuff up. But that's how they, the deception. This is how they give you something else to distract you. I mean, there's enough stuff going on to cause that, and most people fall right into it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got niggas that claim to be Indian and some prince of Africa running around talking about, prove to me that your identity was eradicated. They sound so stupid, and you know they're Facebook famous. Zog is a white supremacist theory that believes Jews, Zionists, in parentheses, secretly control Western politics. Well, they do. The term first appeared in the 1970s. I don't need books that I have informative and some from ex-politicians to push. You can start looking at everybody's names and families and put it together yourself. It's not complicated. It's real simple. Anyway, the term first appeared in the 1970s in the United States, and is found on white supremacist sites such as Aryan Nations and National Alliance. By manipulating Western governments, anti-Semites claim Zog controls the world economy, limits free speech, confiscates land, and usurps military and police forces. The phrase Zionist occupiers is also used by anti-Semites on the far left by Islamists seeking to destroy Israel. We know that's a bunch of shit because I know about 5 Jews that belong to the white supremacy groups. I told you they're converts, and you just don't get rid of ignorant thinking like that. And there's plenty of them that went over there from New York, Philly, Chicago, Jersey, all over there to fight in Ukraine. And they speak vibrantly bright about it. And some of them went over there to fight against, I'm talking to my ex-police officers, went over there to fight against the Palestinians and their racist epitaphs, raping young. I mean, the information's there. I'm not making it up. And it ain't just on Al Jazeera and them platforms. It's on Jews are putting information out that live there. This system is going to hide it all. If you haven't seen it, you haven't seen it. Don't take my word for it. All right? I ain't got to make nothing up. Western governments, anti-Semites claim Zog controls the world. Blah, blah, blah. Also used by anti-Semites for far left Islamists seeking to destroy Israel. Anyway, that's the narrative painted by them. And that's a hate group. All right? That's a hate group. I'm not going to read no more of that garbage, okay? All right, let's look at Washington Post, because you know what the media is going to say, right? And the dribble they're going to give that is so eloquent and so a spell to make you believe them. The Washington Post, y'all, okay? The Washington Post. Jewish Power Inside the American Jewish Establishment by J.J. Goldberg. Introduction. American Jews and their politics. History will record that as the 20th century drew to a close, American Jews were facing a political crisis, unprecedented in its scope and nature. For the first time in their 3.5 centuries as a community in America, it seems like I'm about to watch a goddamn Star Wars movie. You know, for the first time in their 3.5 centuries as a community in America, and perhaps for the first time since the dawn of the Jewish diaspora, 2,000 years ago, the Jews had no greater enemy than themselves. They didn't exist. This is not to say that Jews no longer had enemies in the late 20th century. There still were those who clamored for the destruction of the Jewish people, as there had been for thousands of years. Anti-Semitism, sometimes called the world's oldest bigotry, a brand new word created in the 20th century, was still alive and threatening. See, this is what they do. They ride, they use words, it sounds convincing, because most people are ignorant to know the truth of when the term, say, anti-Semitism was created, around the 1930s, right? 20s, 30s, was it? 39? It didn't exist before that. There was no such thing. But this is what they do because they've taught you in them school centers to make you dumb little robots. All right? Am I lying? Did we not go over it? They got the picture of the man that told them what his name and who he was speaking with. It was a well-documented, known historical fact. 1939, 1920, something, whatever it was, whatever time it was. Okay? So they know how to write things out here to be further convincing to cast a spell because you know what read means, right? Okay. As there had been for thousands of years, anti-Semitism, sometimes called the world's oldest bigotry, was still alive and threatening in dozens of countries. Before Franz Boas, Zionist, I'm not going to keep mentioning the damn names, created the race theory, 3 races to become 5 races, blah, 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 blah. You cannot make this crap up. Okay. And you know what century that was in, so-called century. We're still alive and threatening in dozens of countries around the globe. Indeed, many prominent Jews, from American rabbis to Israeli politicians, warned at the end of the 20th century that anti-Semitism was making a disturbing comeback. This came as a shock. The venomous bigotry was thought to have flamed out just a few decades earlier in the ashes of the Second World War, yet somehow it thrived. Enemies continued to threaten the state of Israel, created at mid-century as a haven for survivors of the Nazi Holocaust, and as a spiritual center for Jews everywhere. And we know how many were there? What was it, 460,000? 6 million. Anyway, for Jews everywhere, some of Israel's bitterest enemies, led by Islamic Iran, were within reach of acquiring nuclear weaponry that might enable them to destroy the Jewish state with the touch of a button. No, the threats had not ended. Still, a detached, fair-minded observer of Jewish life might well have concluded that the Jewish people had achieved a historical reversal of fortune at the close of the 20th century in America and around the world. Boy, if they ain't trying to fantasize this and mythologize this. Anyway, after all, it was just a half century earlier that one of the world's greatest industrial powers had set out on a mechanized campaign to murder every Jew. And now they teach people this, and they indoctrinate them, and they believe this shit because they aren't going to look outside of it. They conquered Germany, they run Germany, they conquered this, they run it, they conquer that. And nobody's saying that over here they really don't run nothing. These people are stupid and they allow it. That's why they hide. They hide all around. And yet people figure it out. I mean, it takes 12-year-old kids to pull out certain information, a 75-year-old to tell the truth for certain things. And they have a system that's controlled because everybody can say what they really want. Isn't that what they did to us on this land? Even all the way up to 1985, dropping the bomb, a satchel charge using a U.S. sheriff helicopter in Philadelphia on people who just wanted to be left the fuck alone, talking about some guns when people could own guns in Philly. See, this is what we're talking about. It was the rhetoric and the speech and the fact that they kind of knew who they were, regardless if they felt like they were from Africa or here or mixed. They actually thought they were mixed. See, this is the shit nobody talks about, and the fact that they created the NFA because of the niggas, the brothers over there in California and New York with guns who was willing to tear people's asses up, and Newark, New Jersey. That's why they had to go get the racists, and a lot of them were Jews, converts, to go into the cities. And remember the old lady in Newark getting shot, shooting at everybody. But they won't speak on that, talking about Oh, the apartheid of 460,000 motherfuckers. The majority of them got sent up out of there. That's all these bastards do is lie and think the truth coming out, they can hide it because they got a system. Fuck that system. Nobody wants to talk about that. Excuse my language. Enemies continue to, well, we already went over that. After all, it was just a half century we went over that, and excuse me, my thumb slid it down. And yet, 50 years after its greatest catastrophe, the Jewish people had dusted itself off and won a place at the table of international decision-making. Jews had achieved power. Who do you think kept the UN running when it was supposed to be shut down? I know y'all said, oh, but it was a Hindu and a Korean. Y'all really don't know nothing about nothing, do you? Do I need to go and pull that video up showing the original people of Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, Philippines? Do I really have to put, and some of those people don't even exist no more? Do I have to show you? Okay. There was, of course, the sovereign power of the state of Israel, a smallish emerging nation with an outsized military reputation. But that was not the half of it. When diplomats and journalists spoke of Jewish power in the late 20th century, they were usually speaking of the American Jewish community, and it was here that the Jews had truly emerged as a power in their own right, acknowledged and respected around the world. Now, from the Vatican to the Kremlin, from the White House to the Capitol Hill, the world's movers and shakers view American Jewry as a force to be reckoned with. Well, yeah, if you get a bunch of perverts who like to go to scat parties and everything else and do some weird stuff and drugs and everything else, and you pay them a whole bunch of money, to which in the Constitution was read over in Bill Cooper's Behold the Pale Horse is not even legal, you can do this kind of goofy stuff. The same thing that those butt Negroes are doing in the music industry, like Diddley, right, who worked for them. You saw him hugged up with him. You know, Clive Davis, I think he was slobbing on him, and Clive had him banging him from the back or whatever. And you see what's going on. Yeah, the stories are real, y'all. You see what's going on. They do it to their own because they're consistently, these are the mild, mentally nutritious deviants who probably don't like mirrors in their home and everything else, and they're very superstitious. I don't have no superstitions, and for good reasons. But regardless of that, and I think superstitions are cute. So if you have them, stupid. Anyway, part of the new mythos on American Jews is that we're not a minority anymore. We become part of the majority, and psychologically, that means something fantastically subtle, says political scientist David Luchins, a vice president of the Union of Oxford Jewish Congregations of America and senior aide to New York Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan. We are accepted now. We have access. The President of the United States meets regularly with the Jewish leadership, and there's an incredible thing. You look back on the last 25 or 30 years, and you have to stand in awe that this really has happened. In my lifetime, it really happened. We have arrived. Y'all gonna read all this your damn self. Okay? Again, go to the Washington Post. It's the Jewish Power Inside the American Jewish Establishment by J.G. Goldberg. There it is. You can go read it yourself. Now, because I'm very aware of certain information in particulars, which is no secret to anybody, I just happen to be well informed. This is what you're going to get. Now, I would advise most people converted and you raise children, and that becomes their first language, and they're raised in that, just like a lot of y'all were Christians, Muslims, and this, that, and the other, who are born into it. It's the same thing, and the hypocrisy still. You got to excuse me. I was eating some Moroccan sardines in the oil. Anyway, they were nurtured and raised and convinced in this, and that's their apparatus of momentum and movement. And yet they're still going to do the same things going around because it's still the same bad frequency, this and other. But who established it? But nobody ever wants to talk about Master Farad. He was no master, but he was a master of disguise. And it's funny that when he came around, all of a sudden the Hebrew movement, the Islam, Muslim, FOI, a whole bunch of different religions you'll have no idea about, even Saturnalia or Satanism. You don't believe me? Why don't you do the research, people? And then all of a sudden he supposedly just disappeared, supposedly locked up. What was that, by the OSS or whatever they were called? I don't think the FBI existed at that time, but will come around later, right? I'm not doing this to. We already see what's going on. You see the food. You see they're burning. They want to starve everybody now. That's where they're going. They're messing with food, stuff that was unnatural, and they talk as if it's okay. This is what I'm talking about, that fake white superiority. It's established by the very people who established the first white supremacy. As I stated, if you go back and read the books, you don't have to have 100 years of lynching. There are other information that is from the families of the people who wrote the letters about watching as they were children, and the fact that it was a Jewish woman who was always crying, this nigga over here and this, that, and the other, setting up the dynamics for the city and the gold and everything else to be stolen, and the people in a certain community. And see, one of the largest one was Tulsa, Oklahoma, but they fought back. They don't want to tell you that story, but I had family there. It's these goofy Negroes that move there who don't know nothing but the lie of history and don't know the truth by those who said, wait a minute now. And they didn't even watch the movie. They were sitting there, they were trying to call in. Reporters want to hear from them, saying, oh man, we whooped ass. And that's a fact. Because they want you to be docile. Not enough fluoride, not enough aluminum. You already heard what the people from the same government platform are saying about the aluminum and all the other stuff on the ground. It's how many percent higher that's more damaging than anything, and yet you're still finding more lead and crude iron and cereals and food and chemicals. I'm not bringing awareness. People already saying this. What I am doing is I'm being informative to read information. Because somebody said, oh, Biden never said that. Somebody I grew up with, of course, a light skin and a couple of melanated. I'm like, what? I said, I'm not even going to upload the video with him walking across the walk when he said it to the reporter. I am a Zionist. What am I playing that video for? It's right there. If they don't want to look it up, so that they believe what you believe without knowledge, the lack of knowing. You dig what I'm saying? Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Springville, baby? What's happening, brother? God, I got you, beloved. Marcus, what's going on, beloved? Ha, sizzle, peace and love. You already know, beloved. Eternally bonded, bro. Appreciate that. Alicia and Cooper. I just want to shut everybody out. Original Lone Wolf. I got Omek. Oh, excuse me. I had gas, y'all. Them sardines are so good. ANO 424. What's going on, beloved? What's cracking? What's cracking? What's happening, man? But look, causing Alzheimer and a lot of people. The Alzheimer, dementia didn't even exist until 1979. Let me see if I can pull it up. My great-grandmother, Regina Lee, at 94 years old, I think it started at 92. At 92, she had all of a sudden she started having Alzheimer. Alzheimer. It's funny, Alzheimer is a Jewish name, ain't it? I'm using one thumb. Let me see. The purpose of this review is to examine the evolution of the use of AD in the modern era that began in 1968 up to the present. So, Emil Kaplan, 1856-1926, a doctor in Germany, classified dementia into senile dementia and presenile dementia in 1910. He was the first to name the disease as Alzheimer's disease, after Alois Alzheimer, who in 1915 passed away, who discovered pathological features of presenile dementia while his student. When was Alzheimer's discovered in America? They want to say, you see, there's going to be 5 different numbers. That's why I know, because of medical studying, that it was established around 1969 or 79. It was. So they could sit here and say, oh, I can see that throws you off. Just like when I was talking about the Spanish flu, all right? The Black Plague. The fact that there's a patent on that crap. And then when I pointed out where it was patented, people saying, get out, and they researched and they go, holy smack. I'm like, but they don't teach you in the school, so why would you know otherwise? So why would you kill all those millions of people in Spain, this, that, and who were they really killing? Because see, right now we're dealing with genome therapy and stuff, right? stem cells. You know, all you women that went and had babies and you gave your embryonic sac to the doctors who started stripping right away to figure out ways to get rid of you. In ignorance, without knowing, because your mammies and your pappies ain't know no better, because they stopped fighting. They became the Karens who wanted to see the summer of love, even though the Vietnam and Korean War happened. You want to prove me wrong? Some of you that fought in that war, if you still alive and you watch now, open your big mouths. This is no hate. I don't need to hate anything. This is calling the cap a cap. All right, calling a shoe and a boot a shoe and a boot. All right, a mustache a stash. You know, I can hide little foods for later in there. You know what I'm saying? So some of it can be off. It's all right. That's the beautiful thing about having this communication table and being able to say, hey, look what I found out, Red. All right, brother. Or I can say, yo, LB, yo, you was correct, man. I was wrong. But this is the partition that I work from. And you be like, oh, I didn't even see that. Okay, I can dig what you're saying. That's how it's supposed to be going, instead of, yo, you an idiot. Yo, fool. Yo, looking like, you know, down that Fraggle Rock. Y'all know what the Fraggle Rocks were about, right? I don't even want to go into that. That could be a whole nother topic. Look, I can do topics after topics after topics on any and everything. But we're not here for that. We're here for balance. That's it. Why can't they just get along together? Because there's this insatiable beast. It's stoic and a psychotic mannerism. And there are things that are broken, y'all. And the only ones can fix it, they're doing their damnedest to get rid of you. Yes, pale skins, if you're watching, it's the so-called niggas, the only ones that could fix it. With a little bit of sway and help, fools. I hate that word, nigga. Y'all know I hate that word. Anyway, why are you saying it? Because I want to animate these monkeys who are moving like damn animations themselves anyway. They're not moving in their real truth. You see what I'm saying? I already got some talking about, man, oh man, I got a black grandma. Don't use that black word with me, boy. I had to tell a couple of them. Well, I didn't know. Well, shut up and go talk to the people in your family who made you stupid. All right, Chief. And I ain't got pale skins calling me Chief. I'm like, I don't like that word. And I've accepted it because of telling across the Yokode, Darian, Chief Terry and Two Bears Ross. That's the only reason. And anybody else that have said it, regardless of their statutes, I just know. All right, we're eternally bonded. This is my statement. It doesn't. You don't need to figure out what it means. We are eternally bonded. But there's a lot of idiots in the world who think they're going to succeed because they've been training and fighting, shooting guns and blowing shit up. They don't know. That's not going to work. There's going to be a moment when all that shit's going to fade away. I don't give a fuck what they think they know. I don't give a fuck what you think you know. I am tired of talking to y'all about balance. I'm really literally like Jonah. I mean stubborn. And he had a reason to be stubborn. But what I'm saying is stubborn in ways you can't imagine. I don't want to be doing this. So I don't think I give a fuck. No, seriously. I don't. Balance is more important to me than anything. Okay? That is the most important thing to me. It's balance. Sometimes these monkeys overstep their boundary. They don't know how to fucking listen no more. Okay? I just wanted to share that. I don't give a fuck about no gold ingots and none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Balance. Balance is the only thing I saw. Then there, y'all can blow each other to fucking smithereens. I wouldn't care. Seriously. Like I said, I could be up on a mountain sitting out chilling, sipping a Mai Tai, eating a fucking pig roasted, and looking at everybody fumble around in the fucking dark, but balanced. That sounds crazy? Far from it. You know what sounds crazy? Some teacher opened a rainbow book, 25 years old, in a school with 3 and 5-year-olds, talking about, and look, Johnny wanted to see Billy's pee-pee. And there it was. And Johnny was curious. But he saw mommy holding daddies. But here, nobody's a boy or a girl. So Johnny wanted to hold his pee-pee. And it was okay. Do you see the craziness in that? That is unbalanced like a motherfucker. I don't care about when you get 18 or 21. Nigga, you go rob, you can go fuck goats and exhaust pipes for all I care, from what I've heard. I don't need to see that goofy shit. I'm serious. I know some people know when I say I'm serious. They know how I look, what I look like, and some people even know when I'm talking. It's no hate. You can't hate what you cannot anticipate, nor did you have an understanding about. Because if that was the case, that means that you didn't move to change it, right? I can't hate him. One of the strongest men in my life, other than my father who passed away in his 40s, right? I was heading back to the military. I was about 21. My father was 20 years old when I came in this world. My mother was 17. Okay? So when he had a concussion, when he had that mark that caused a blood clot in his head, besides the fact that he was shooting that shit up, that coke, he didn't like heroin. I'm the guy that likes to be down. Thank goodness I don't use needles and shit. But, because I'm full of energy. I don't know if that's the case. No, he wasn't doing it then. You know, my body leaving this time around, right? So he passed away around 45, 46. You gotta remember, I've outlived 5 of the men in my family, on my father's side, on the Chickasaw side. I told you about the one when they left, when my great-great-great-great-grandmother and father, James Henry Wooten and Lily Wooten, left Tulsa, Oklahoma, and went to New York. And he was murdered. He was in his 40s, walking out of a juke joint in Harlem. Not a juke joint, but then it was called different because buildings were around me. Shot in the back of the head, and he just whooped everybody's ass inside the bar. He just beat everybody's ass downstairs. And so some punk came up and ruined the money, I guess. And we're talking about 5 times great-grandparents. There wasn't no 1920s, y'all, so listen up. And then another one, because they had enough, you know, okay, I had my great-grandpas, but they had brothers. There's a lot of us. A lot. And sisters. A lot. You'd be surprised. Some of y'all might be straight up my blood relative coming out of Louisiana, the Carolinas, and Florida, and all them places. All right, ended up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Ended up in Oklahoma. There was a few places, and then making their way back up north instead of going over to the Carolinas, Georgia, Louisiana. They didn't want to go back. They thought that was all destroyed and taken over, so they migrated as it was directed by these bourgeois. I know why. My family's history better than anybody's. And so the second person got into a fist fight and was whooping everybody. I don't know, somebody hit him in the head with something or something, I forget. He was in his 30s, he was young, but he had children. Then my Paul, he drunk himself to death. He knew all the history. He didn't like what he saw. And so he just stopped eating. Tall, too. He was like 6'2" or 6 foot, I forget, 6'4". He just didn't want to be around nothing. He saw nothing but ugly here. He saw the destruction. And then my father. All of them are fathers. And I know going back before them. And here I am at the cusp of 60. They have attempted to poison me and a number of other different things. But they're too damn stupid to know when to fucking stop. As if it's going to work out for them. They think it could delay something or whatever. Ain't going to delay shit. Not a damn thing.
What the goal of the billionaire class is to remake the world as a digital simulation, really. To
Digital simulation.
To steal life is an anti-life program. It's moving from carbon-based life to silicon-based life.
Crazy, right?
To a digital.
Anyway, let me get up off of here, man.
And they can control
I'm supposed to come back. I was supposed to be reading at this time, but I decided to read that.
A world full of love
And peace.
Well, my decision comes, shoot it out
In the middle of the streets.
That's
not how it's gonna work, guys. Oh, beautiful though, right? It's magnificent, but that's not how it's gonna work.
You say?
Anyway, I just wanted to share a little bit of that information. That's my father's side. On my mother's side, I know that history going way back too. That's why I laugh at these cats in these liberal states. You know, one in Cali and the other one over in New York talking major junk like they're the go-to, and then we got a goofy nigga down in Mississippi or the Yamasee who's a Google master acting like he's moving in the light of things. And a lot of y'all follow these individuals. I ain't here to stop because they got real good information. But when they start acting a fool, I gotta sit there and say, oh, it's time to pull up the bootstraps. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not gonna debate me. They're not gonna argue with me. It's not gonna happen. Ever. But anyway, I appreciate y'all taking the time to listen. Really look at the information for yourself, do your own breakdowns. That was really a breakdown. That was just me pointing out things that I've been made aware of by certain individuals. It's not saying they right, but you see what's going on, and you can go ahead and start Googling all the names and learning their bio. Now, they probably might start changing some of that, but you need to go and learn the bios and see for yourself. You dig what I'm saying? Tara Jones, appreciate you. Appreciate y'all. Truly, I do. And look, I'll see y'all. I got a video upload. I've been uploading quite a bit of videos. I got one that I did for about, I think it's like 28 minutes to read. I might upload that one, but tomorrow we're going to get into the books that I have sitting right here because I've actually lined a few more things and we really, really need to read them. But I appreciate y'all being patient. Like I said, things happen in threes, they happen in nines for me. And I'm running around doing a lot of things besides sitting here as well, dealing with this. Like, when I say dealing with this, going through the Rolodex, looking at things. And y'all can too. You can. You can make yourself do it. And you shouldn't have to make yourself do it, but it's just like taking baby steps when you had an accident. And now you got to learn how to walk all over again with the physical therapist and then occupational therapy outside from when you being in the hospital or the whatever, right? Even the hospital, whatever, it doesn't matter where, right? Physical and then, out. I guess I didn't even eat my beans yet. But anyway, with that being said, baby steps. You can you can assist yourself if that's what you walked into, to remember things. And you don't have to make nothing up. And making something up ain't bad. You can do that. I mean, the biggest thing of being a child, being a youngling, one of them children, is they wanted children to have the dream. Now it seems like they don't care because they've accomplished some things that you know nothing about. And that's the bottom line. All right? So appreciate y'all. Ladies, my beloved sisters, you are the power. Brothers, we are the source, the strength that protects that power. And together, we're more powerful than any battery, any sun. Okay? So I'll see y'all tomorrow, but I may upload this video. All right? And it's informative.